Welcome back to the January release of 2023, the first release of the month, and today Armory 3D has a big bombshell to drop. We have 56 new pull requests. This is an awesome release. We have so much to cover, so let's get started. First of all, the highlights. We have, well, first of all, a brand new bloom system. You remember those rewards that we had, those 5 different rewards? Well, one of them was high quality bloom. We have that. Off the list. You can't win that one anymore because it's been done. This is it's super powerful. I mean, look at this. This is a much higher upgrade from what we had previously. This is what the old bloom looks like. This is what the lowest quality new bloom looks like. It's incomparable. It's amazing. And this runs super fast as well. And you can see all the different high quality versions, and they all run so much faster. This is incredibly fast, but what's even more important is that we have anti-flickering, so we don't have that issue. We can obviously control the settings, for example, the threshold, the radius, the strength, all that basic stuff. But what's really interesting is by checking this single box, you can use the blender settings. So you can sync up your blender viewport with Armory 3D, and this is something that people have been asking for a while. I made a video a while ago crying about how there are so many different things inside of Armory 3D, it's hard to keep up, and bloom was one of them, because we have two different blooms. We have the blender bloom, and then we've got the Armory 3D bloom. So it's hard to, for a beginner at least, to understand how to get a bloom if there's so many different options, and this just fixes it all in one. It just wraps it all up in a nice bow. This is a huge game changing feature, and it looks amazing. We have obviously the draw text area string node. Essentially allows you to draw long paragraphs of text by controlling the amount of lines, the spacing, the font size, also the background color of our text. So a huge node here, because these draw nodes are getting really powerful. I love them. They should have their own category, I think, because they're really powerful. And this just allows you to do a lot of things, larger text instead of just smaller text. Because we did have the draw string node, but I think that's reserved more so for smaller amount of text, because you don't have a lot of control over how it looks overall. We have also two new nodes that work with inputs. So we have a cursor in region and a touch in region node, and these essentially allow you to detect when your cursor is hovering over a region or when your touch is hovering over a region. This doesn't actually respond to clicks, so this will trigger every time you're above this certain region, not when you're clicking on that certain region. Just letting you guys know. Set it up using the height and width and move it around this position, this target zone, this trigger zone. We're using the center X and center Y positions. Obviously by default this is going to appear in the top left hand side corner, your zone, because that's the default origin point, just like in other game engines like Godot. We also have a new node, the get rigid body point node, that essentially allows you to get the rigid body's origin velocity. Really powerful for specific situations if you actually need the extra control, and there you go, it's available. We also have the add trait special menu that essentially, when you click that drop down button, you can print all the node trees to your console, so you can see all the different node trees you have in your project. Really cool stuff if you have a large project and you want to see what's in there and what isn't, if you want to refresh your memory or whatever you want to do. There is so much to cover here, but essentially we also have the implementation of a pause active camera render node. Basically just pauses the render. If you have multiple cameras in your view and you have a sort of split screen setup, you have a lot more control now. We can actually pause different windows and different camera renders while we activate others, and we can actually also use the rotate render target node, which is a brand new node that allows you to rotate the render target. Very useful stuff. I will go in detail in another video or just add some like documentation. I'm not going to talk about them all here because we're basically making this video rather long and there's so many things to cover. We have many fixes, such as the emission ghosting effect that we had on some platforms is now fixed. We have bug fixes for crashes that happen when recompiling the game. We have a render path presets, and we have loads of different updates, loads of different fixes, and many other changes not only inside of Armory SDK. So we also have changes to the Armory examples. We have a bunch of more stable updated projects that you can use to learn how to use Armory 3D. This release comes with so many new fixes, updates, and problems that have been solved, and new features implemented, such as the bloom, which I'm really excited about. So you can definitely go check out this latest version of Armory 3D. It was actually re-released because the bloom wasn't actually implemented when it was released, and another feature, but now they're the biggest, they're the highlights of this release, and what they really showcase, Armory is really coming along. Despite not having its single developer, its original developer, doesn't mean they can't advance without him. He's not the only capable person on the planet. So those who use that as an excuse to say Armory 3D is dead, well, they're just full of shit, let's face it. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next release.